Today's guest really excites me. He's come from brand side. He's now launched his own talent management business. It's Liam Brown from Redē Talent.
I started as like an intern and then left as head of influencer.
What a story.
Yeah. And it was to the point that I had agents like on the phone screaming at me like, you owe our clients 5 figures. I don't know what I'm going to do. To the point where I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. There's no way I can get out. I've racked up all this debt. If I could talk to that boy now, just keep pushing on, keep going and believe in yourself, you'll get through it. And I did. We've turned down 10, 15 grand jobs for a story set before because it's just not aligned with the girls. And I think that's the biggest mistake creators make, is selling out. I made a rule to all of my talent and to myself, we wouldn't have more than 6 talent per one agent.
I think it's a good rule. I know people who'd have 10. Have you had any pinch me moments yet where you've gone, wow, we're actually breaking down the barriers of this industry? Welcome back to another episode of Managed. Today's guest really excites me because he's come from brand side. He's now launched his own talent management business with his business partner. Today, he's going to go through how that came about and everything in between and the lessons learned. It's Liam Brown from Redē Talent. Liam, welcome to Managed.
Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. We've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
So
we have.
But as pen friends,
Our
really.
first time meeting.
It is. And it's been a joy. We've laughed a lot off camera.
We have.
So we need to try and keep some of the goodness in.
Yes. Okay.
So for anyone who doesn't know you, run me through your career.
Okay, so right now I'm the founder of a digital first agency called Redē Talent. So mainly specialising in fashion and beauty talent. But before that, I was head of influencer at one of the UK's biggest fashion brands. Quite controversial at the moment, is In The Style. So I actually started there when I was 21. Started as, well, actually like wormed my way in.
I see that for you.
Yeah, I wormed my way in and I started as like an intern and then left as head of influencer. So
what a story.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, the whole story's a bit mental. So I'll take you back to the start. What actually happened is I went to acting college because my dream was to be on Coronation Street. So I actually initially, I was like, oh my God, I want to be on like Coronation Street or Emmerdale. Like, I'm going to be an actor.
Yeah.
My first gig was Bugsy Malone and I was Fat Sam. Instantly, I was like,
Where was this?
It's not for me. So I went to Stratford-upon-Avon College.
No, but where were you at Bugs? Where was you playing?
Yeah, at college.
Oh, it was a college
Yeah, it was.
play.
Oh, yeah, God, I went in
I
the
thought it was
West
like
End.
the West End.
No, I'm not quite Hannah Lothar yet. Nearly. But so I went there and I was like in college and I just thought, like, I was 17. Yeah, I was. And I remember they put the cast list up and I was like, oh my God, like this is it. Like, I've made it. I could see my name. I got closer and I was like, oh my God, what's up? And I remember going home and I was like, Nan, because for context, I grew up with my nan, lived with my nan. My nan's my best friend.
Oh.
And I was like, Nan, like they've given me Fat Sam. And she was like, well, there's only you that can do something about that. And I was like,
do you know what you're really like? I was really orange as a child.
Yeah.
Like, as in, like, I would dream Matt Moose.
Yeah.
But like 9 shades too dark. And I came home from school and my mum went, no, you little Oompa Loompa. I went, how did you know? I've been cast as an Oompa Loompa in my school play.
No, honestly, I was just like, well, this is crazy. So I did that 16, 17. And then at 17, I was just like, you know what? I've had enough. Like, I want to go and earn money. Like, I want to pass my driving test. And I think because I lived with my nan at the time, like growing up, I paid for everything that I did. So, and I hate to be one of those people that like, I did everything myself, but I genuinely did. Like all my friends were being bought cars, etc., being paid driving lessons, etc. And I paid for every single driving lesson. Like I worked a part-time job in a call center whilst going to college, and every single week I'd go and pay for my driving lessons. And that was just it growing up because I lived with my nan and she had like me and my brother there and, she was doing her best and she did her best. And I always, praise and thank her for everything she did. So, yeah. So after when I was like 17, I was like, this isn't the life for me. I don't like acting. I can't remember scripts. It's just not for me. It's going in this ear, out this ear. I'm leaving. I'm off. Get that fire exit door. So off I went and worked at Thomas Cook, right? And I thought, oh my God.
So see that for you.
Yeah, I was like, I could be a travel agent. That's what I'm going to be, right? So little 17-year-old me, when I worked at a travel agency, right, booking holidays.
Jazz hands.
No, I was just like, oh my God, where do you want to book? Like, so tell me, like, are you more beach or are you more city? Like, how long are you thinking? I've got this deal for 11 nights. It's the same price as 10. Or let me see if I can get you a cheeky discount. That was me all over, right? Until I was like 19 and I thought, scrap this, I'm bored. I went off to Cyprus and I was a rep for a year in a family hotel. Anyway, come back, Thomas Cook went bust, didn't it? It went bust up and I had no job. And my manager at the time was best friends with this guy that worked at an event centre. And she said to me, look, I'm going to go and do HR for him. She was like, why don't you come and work for me? And I was just like, well, what are the jobs? And she was like, it was only a marketing assistant. I'd never done marketing in my life, right? I was like, okay, like, so I remember I literally was searching like what a marketing assistant would do, all of this, sat down with this CEO of this event center, sold him the dream. He was like, you've got the job, started the next day. So I worked there for a year and actually like I learned on the job basically. Like I just sort of learned if ChatGPT was a thing, would have been great. Unfortunately, it was 7 years too late. So I was just Googling, like, what does CRM mean? Like, what is HubDoc? Like, this was me. And it was like,
what does CRM mean?
Yeah, what does CRM mean on this portal that we had?
Yeah.
And then this girl messaged and she was like, oh, I've got 10K followers. I want to do my 16th birthday party. Like, would you do it as a collab? And I was like, what is a collab? What is a gifted collab? What is a deliverable? This is me, like on Google. And that was my first ever exchange with an influencer. Cut a long story short, my other friend was like, look, my boyfriend owns a marketing agency and they've got one of the biggest donut companies in the country called Project Donut, these massive donuts. They're looking for someone to come and like do influencer on social media.
Donut? Do you mean like organs?
No, like donuts.
Oh, donuts.
Yeah,
I said donut.
No, like donuts. Like he's got a marketing agency and he needs someone on their donut account.
I thought you meant organ donut.
No, like donuts. And I was like, well, I'm fat and I know a bit about marketing, so donuts is perfect for me. So anyway, off I went to this donut company and I worked there for 2 years from like 19 to 21. And I learned loads and I was like gifting. I was working with like some huge brands like I saw it first. And I just knew my dream was to be in Manchester working for a fashion brand. Oh, you know, midst that, a TV opportunity came up and I went off and did that. Anyway, I came back and...
we just spoke about this. It's the funniest thing because you definitely thought that was your big break.
No, I thought this is my calling. Like, I am going on Netflix. Too Hot to Handle had just came out. And I was like, at the time, it was like Chloe Veach, Francesca Farrago, like Harry Jowsey. These people were getting like millions of followers. And I was like, oh my God, like I am about to take off. And I remember like having meetings with this financial advisor. And I was like, right, so what do I do? And I was messaging management. And I was like, just so you know, like I'm going to be a huge hit. So like, I suggest you take me on. And they were like, well, we kind of wait and see how the show does. And I was like, no, like I've been told that like I've got something special. Anyway, that didn't work out. So back to the donut place. And I was applying for all these jobs in Manchester, fashion jobs. And I was like, I just want someone to give me a chance. But I'd got no experience really like solidly in fashion. And I was just like, please, someone give me a chance. And this lady messaged me on LinkedIn. She was like, look, I've got this job for you. She was like, would you be interested in applying? It's at a fashion brand called In The Style. And I was like, oh God, yeah, what is it? And she was like, it's an influencer assistant. Anyway, and I got the job spec and it was like, you must know how to use Magento. And I'll always remember it. And I searched on YouTube how to use Magento. And I sat in this interview with my manager at the time and I was like, I know how to use Magento. I know how to put an order through. And he was like, cool, you know more than me. And I was like, yeah, I know it all. And I was like reeling off all this stuff I'd put on Google. And then they were like, right, Adam, the CEO wants to call you in 5 minutes. And obviously at the time, Adam's like, I'd had a TV show break in fashion, which was huge for In The Style.
For those who don't know, it's Adam Frisby we're talking about for clarification.
Frisby, who was the CEO of In The Style. And I was like, oh my God. So I ran into my nan's spare bedroom in my pajamas on the bottom half, hoodie on the top. And I was just like, hi, Adam. Like, I'm really keen. And he was like, why do you think, like, what do you love about In The Style? And I remember saying, well, the thing is, like, you got brought up by your nan and so did I. So I just think like we connect on that level.
But I bet he really liked that.
Yeah, he was just like, right, okay. Anyway, long story short, I got the job. Within 7 days' notice, I moved all my stuff up into Manchester. So I was living in Manchester on like, at the time, £18,000 a year, paying for an apartment, which was £1,000 a month. And I was just making it work. Like I was making it work. And I was there for 5 years up until I was 25. And then Redē was born.
Let's talk about that switch up from leaving InStyle and setting up Redē, because for those who don't know, you are part owned with Adam Frisby. You've joined forces. How did you convince Adam to come in with you on this project? Because going into business someone is scary, and I don't think it's for everyone. And we talk about this a lot on this podcast of like being a solo founder versus being joint founders and the benefits. And you were talking to me earlier about some great benefits of it. So let's run through how that conversation even came about.
So basically, my job primarily in the style was I was head of influencer, but I looked after our long-term partnerships. So massive household names, so like Stacey Solomon, Jack Josser, Danny Dyer, Billy Fairs. Like we worked with these girls for 3, 4, 5 years, and I essentially managed that relationship. And it was almost like being a talent manager, but on the other side. So I'd make sure that like they've got their content schedules, like their shoots were booked in, their glams were booked in. It was literally almost the same. And I said to Adam a year before, I said, have you ever thought about doing talent management? And I was like, I could sit it within the business. I was like, there's so many influencers that we work with that aren't represented. Like, I see this job be done so badly by like so many agents that I'm working with. Like, I just think that like I'm a people's person. Like, you know, I've learned so much about contracts and negotiations. And he was just like, look, it's not the right time at the minute. He was just like, but it is something I've thought about, but I'm just not sure. And I was like, fair, okay. So anyway, cracked on. And then basically, for anyone that don't know, there's a long story, and Adam actually did a podcast talking about that. But essentially, there was a lot that went on, and there was like a new business owner that came in, and he ran the business in the wrong way. The suppliers were owed money, influencers were owed money. And it got to the point where Adam was trying to fight it as much as he could with these new owners. And it was meant to be a partnership, but it was just like he was fighting a losing battle. They were just horrendously rude. And it was to the point that I had agents like on the phone screaming at me, like, you owe our clients 5 figures. Like, and I was just like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, and I literally remember standing in the garden crying, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need to leave. Like, and at the time, Adam had told me, like, I'm leaving. Like, I don't want anything to do with this business no more. It's being ran in the wrong way. Like, it's going against all my morals. They aren't taking on. And I think when they came in, they said to Adam, like, we want you to run it, still be the face, and we're just going to be sort of like support in the background. And it very much came like they were just controlling everything and stripped Adam of all of this control. Anyway, long story short, I was stood in the garden crying, and I was just like, I need to leave. I can't be here no more. And I was like, but what am I going to do? So I teamed my manager, and I was just like, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. She's like, what are you going to go and do? And I was like, well, I don't know, but I need to get out of here. Anyway, so I said to Adam, look, I know you told me no last year. I said, but you are the king of influencer. Like, influencer collaborations was born by Adam, like all those years ago, 12 years ago, when influencers weren't really a thing. He did those first collections with like Lauren Pope and Charlotte Crosby. And I truly do believe that is where the landscape really started to shift and change. And it's really started to grow. And I was like, you know, so many people, you know, so many agents and talent, and so do I. I was just like, we need to chat. And he was like, look, do a proposal and like come and sit around my house and we'll talk through it. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So I remember I was like sat on Canva building out this proposal, and I'd got no idea how to run a business. So I was like, roughly like, you know, what am I going to need for him? And I was like, at the time I was on a salary of like 35 grand. And I was like, well, I'm going to need like at least half my salary for a year because of payment terms. I was like, then what's a shoot going to cost? Like maybe a shoot to set up the website. And I was like, but that's on a laptop. I was like, so if he just gives me that money, for 6 months, like that will set me up. So I remember doing this massive deck of like talent that I think would come, talent that I like would hope would come, aspirational talent, like all these projected figures. I'd got no idea. And I just sat around.
Yeah, but it's like, a great start, by the way. Like that is like, you can't predict it until you're there.
No, and that's the thing. Even now, like I sit with my financial guy, and he says to me, wait, I need to, can I say that again? Yeah. I need to sit, my financial advisor, not my financial guy. It's the wine. I'm getting tipsy because it's still in my system. So even now I sit with my financial advisor, and he does my forecast, and I'm like, but it changes. Like we did a forecast for last year, and it was just so wrong. And I'll admit, like,
the forecast is only a prediction.
It's a forecast, and like it was wrong in a good way. Like, you know, we succeeded our targets, but it was wrong. And I was just like, so how am I meant to predict this year? Because I've got 2 girls, for example, that are taking some time out for a baby. Like, you know, last year I brought on 3 talent that I didn't think I was going to bring on. Anyway, So I did this Canva in a chart, this forecast, and I sat down and I said, look, this is what I want to do. Talking as I do. And he was just like, yeah, I want to do it. And I was like, wait, like, you want to do it? And he was like, yeah, let's give it a go. And I remember walking out and I texted him, I was like, so I just wondered like if you got a decision like on what you want to do. And he was like, no, I told you, like, let's do it. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to make it work. And at the time I went for like unsigned girls that I'd worked with in the style really closely. And I just said, look, I'm starting this. And they were all like, and I am one of those people like, this is going to sound so cringe, right?
No.
But like, I knew I was good at my job. Like,
That's not cringe. I think you have to have a stupid amount of self-belief to do this job.
Yeah, no, and I knew I was good. And like Adam always said to me, Liam, I can count on my one hand how many people I would do this with. He said, and how many people I'd work again out of the hundreds that I work with in the style. And you were one of them. You treated this business like it was your own. He was like, you know, you work day and night, you work round the clock, you work day and night like a dog. And he was just like, you know, you are one of those people that I do it with. And I want you to believe in this. You know, you're so good. And for years, you've really like stuck by me and etc. etc. So I had these chats with the girls and I did the shoot and the business was born basically. And I remember like when I remember it just launched like on the 9th of January and I woke up and I was like, okay, so it launches today. Like we'd already done the announcement and I was like, and I didn't have an office. I just signed up to this David Lloyd membership that I definitely couldn't afford. I was just sat there on my own like,
not a WeWorks, but David Lloyd.
No, David Lloyd. And I was like, hey, do you want to work with my talent? And I remember being like, ooh, that's an outreach. And I remember I'd like sending 10 outreach emails and I was like, got none back. I'm like, why? And I'm like, right, now I understand, like, you probably get one out of maybe 50. So I'm like sending these emails. And then it just grew and grew. And then April came, we got our first employee. And then I actually onboarded my sister part-time to help with like the admin. And then the back end of last year, October, I brought on my fourth. So now there's like a team of 4 of us. Which brings me till today.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's quite a long story, basically. And I wasn't meant to be here.
Business is not straightforward. How did you come up with a name?
So I'll actually tell you the story. So I really wanted Forward the agency. That was what I wanted to be called because I was just like forward thinking, forward. Yeah, that was it really. There was not much to it. I was just like forward. Anyway,
yeah.
Basically, I'm really close friends with one of the talent that we used to work with, Perry. And I said to Perry, like, this is my name. And she was like, Liam, like, have you even searched it on Instagram? She said, because there's an agency in America called that. And I was like, but surely that won't matter. Anyway, spoke to this trademark lawyer and she was like, it won't matter now, really. She said, but if they want to expand into the UK or you want to go into the US, it could cause problems. She was like, so it's just best not to. And at the time, Adam and Perry were building their fashion brand behind the scenes and no one knew but me. And they came up with the name Redē for their fashion brand. And I was just like, oh, that's so cool. It's going to be Redē and Forward. But they run into a trademark issue. There was Redē already trademarked, but only for fashion.
Right.
So I couldn't think of a name then. So Adam was like, well, I spoke to the trademark. Why don't you have Redē? And I was like, oh my God, that is such a good idea. And I remember at the time I weren't sure on it. I'll be so honest. Like I was just like, I don't know, like Redē. And then I was like, well, a lot of our talent's fashion. So it's like, get ready with me. Like, are you ready? And like now I'm like, you know, 14, 15 months in, I'm like, it doesn't really matter that much. And I was like, you know, there's agencies now that I think of and I say their name and I'm like, well, I wouldn't want to call it that. I'm like, but does it really matter? You build your brand more than, you know, you build your brand around that name.
But my company is my surname.
No, but I love HLD. I actually remember that, like, looking at your name, because obviously I worked with HLD in the style, and I was like, HLD Talent, that is such a good name. And I was like, but I just don't think LB Talent will hit the same. I was like, but HLD is just
you'll
so
enjoy
cool.
this. The first name came out of HRH Talent.
HRH?
It's my initials.
Right.
But it got declined by the Queen. Because it's Her Royal Highness.
Not the Queen.
So it came back on Company's House. We got a letter and it was like, the Buckingham Palace is like declined it, like, and all this jazz. And my mum was really scared. She was like, you're going to get me beheaded.
Oh,
and like,
I'm not beheaded.
I was like, I don't know if they do that anymore, but fair enough. But yeah, it got declined. And then we went for Her Royal London at one point. that was just shit.
Her Royal London.
Her Royal London, because it was like Hannah Rose and London.
Oh, okay.
It was shit. Like, once again, shit. And then I was like, I lost my granddad, and he was like my biggest fan. He always believed in me. And I was like, you know what? One day I might get married and I might lose my surname. And I'd like to carry on the legacy.
Oh my God, that is such a good idea.
So HLD was born, and we just kept it. So we started as Studio HLD. Then we went to HLD Management.
I remember Studio HLD.
Yeah, and then we went to HLD Talent.
What a story. I love HLD though, but even the logo, like...
The orange is actually taken from my hair.
Really?
The designer pinpointed a picture of me, took it from the middle of my hair, and that orange is my hair, yeah.
Oh my God, what a cool logo.
Yeah, it's nice. Like, I think when like you said, it's the name should count, but it's also about the brand you build up around it
100%.
and what it stands for.
I agree.
Like HOD, it doesn't stand for anything but my surname. But I think if you know HOD now, you know the culture that we're like providing.
And anyone that I've spoken to before, and I'll be like, oh, do you know HLD? Everyone knows it, darling. Clock it.
No, it's something that, to be fair, that's something that I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
Because at one point, no one knew who we were. And I remember when we started breaking down those doors, I guess that leads me on to, have you had any pinch me moments yet where you're gone, wow, we're actually breaking down the barriers of this industry? If you say no, I'm gonna laugh.
No, do you know what? What I would say is it's really hard for me to sit here and be like, this was a pinch me moment, because the whole thing feels pinch me. Like, even... I know this, like, you know, is so weird, but obviously I've followed you and your agency for a long time. So even me sat here, I'm like, oh my God, this is pinch me. Like, wow, like I've worked with you in so many capacities before. And like, I look up to you and your agency and the people that, you know, you've worked with, even coming to your office. I'm like, my God, this is my dream office. Like, you know, so
Thank you, by the way. It took a really long time to sort this out.
Gorgeous. If you get the chance to come, you should come, guys. It's gorgeous in here. But I'd say, do you know what? All of it is pinch me. And I'd say, professionally, every single month we work with huge brands. Like, we just did a massive deal with Adidas, and I was amazing. Wow, like working with Adidas is so huge. We got one of our talent like on the BBC, just doing like a short section on there, and I was like, that's huge, because she's a traditional like fashion influencer. You wouldn't really see that crossover onto TV. But I'd say my biggest pinch me moment of it all is actually when I brought my sister on board. And I'd say it was because I just felt like, not only am I helping these creators, you know, really maximize their career, but I'm also like really helping out my family. And I'm like, I know that, you know, I'm not paying some massive CEO that's gonna, you know, go on a yacht in Cannes. Like, this is going towards my niece and like her dancing lessons or whatever. And, you know, seeing how much my sister loves it and appreciates it. And, you know, having someone that you really trust as well. Like, my sister helps us with all of our like accounting side of things, like invoices and payments. And obviously I trust my sister more than anyone. So, you know, that really helps me, because you know, she looks at all the figures and I never worry like, what's she going to do with that information? Like, not much. But I'd say that was probably the biggest pinch me, when last year I said, look, I need some extra support. Would you come on and help me? And she was like, yeah. And just every month she just says to me, like, I'm so grateful. And, you know, thank you for like having me on. And it's only part-time because she's got a job, and it's just in the evenings when she can. But I'd say that was just a really big like, wow. And, you know, wherever I can, I always try and use my friends and family or like people that I've worked with before. You know, if I'm doing like a shoot and I need a photographer or videographer or glam or whatever. And I think they're pinch me moments, like when I sit there and my Christmas party, for example, I had bought my cousin who's like a content creator. And I was just like, oh my God, that feels so good to be able to do that. And not in an egotistical way, just like I love helping the people closest to me. So yeah, my love language is giving.
There's mine a little bit. Yeah. You know what? It's an interesting point. So my dad works for us now.
Yeah.
And my PA is my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
And I think it's and also you trust your family so instantaneously. Yeah. I know they both have like the best interests, and there's not many people I would trust. Like, my PA is in my emails.
Yeah.
So she sees everything, and I trust her wholeheartedly. And I think it's really important to have like your core. How do you find working with your friends? We were talking about this earlier about hiring your friends and what that looks like.
Do you know what? I got burnt once, and I don't think I'd ever hire them full time, because I got burnt. basically one of my friends who are not friends, I'm not friends with anymore, but she needed a job. And when I worked at the travel agency, I'll be so honest here, I was like, come on, I'll get you a job. You know, I begged my manager at the time. It was a different branch. I was like, she's great. She's got no experience. She hired the job, and like every weekend she called in sick because she was hungover. She wouldn't turn up. And I was so embarrassed. And I was just like, never, ever will I ever work with my friends again. You know, so when it's like a freelance basis, it's fine because I haven't actually run into any problems. Sometimes me and my sister can have like a bit of tiffs because I think also it's really hard because she is my sister, I take everything so personally, like what she says, or, you know, if, you know, she does something, I take it really personally. Well, like when it's, because it's a personal relationship as well as a business relationship. So she'll tell me something in a business environment. Instead of my business brain taking it, I'll take it in my personal brain. I'll be like, my sister's just said that about me or my business. Like, that's so cruel. And like, I remember last year, we had a bit of a to-do. And just, it was actually only December. And my nan called me and she was like, Liam, you have to remember she's your sister. She is not your staff member. I was like, no, she is.
No,
like,
you have to have the balance. I'm being dead serious. My brothers both have worked for me. And my brother, Harry, worked for me for ages. And he asked for holiday and I declined it. He got everyone involved. My dad called me.
No, I know.
My mum called me. They're like, give it to him off. He's your brother. I was like, no,
I know.
because it's been declined.
Yeah.
And like, but now that's something like that wouldn't happen because I have a whole team in place.
Yeah.
But when it's small, you do take it personally.
Yeah, I took it personally. So I don't know. I wouldn't hire my friends. And like, even in a talent aspect, like I've got friends that, you know, have been on TV shows and they always say to me like, you know, when I first joined, like, oh, maybe I could join your agency. And I was just like, well, I would, but obviously, you know, we have to have, you know, tough conversations with talent. Last year I had to let my first talent go and it was like, it was really scary. And I was just like, well, you know, imagine if I had to do that with them or it weren't working, or, you know, I am the believer in, I will always, and I know this is a unique way of managing, but I will always give my creators really honest feedback. So if they say, oh, why isn't this brand working with me? Or why haven't this brand come in? Like, I'm really honest. I don't sugarcoat things and be like, oh, maybe it's just because, you know, they've not seen you yet. I'm like, your stats don't align with what they're looking for. Like, I know what they're looking for.
Though.
Yeah. And I try and be helpful because there's no point me, you know, sugarcoating the truth. Like, I want them to improve and I can only improve them if I give them the truth. If I was to tell my friends like, oh, you know, your stats have dropped this month, or, you know, I'm not getting much brand pickup for you, like, is that going to then intervene with our friendship? And also, you know, if I'm sat getting drunk with her on a Saturday night, then Monday I've got to tell her something really bad or that she's not doing something right, like, is she going to take me seriously because we're friends? And it's just about finding that line. So for now, I've just avoided having any friends to do with the business really, in terms of like staff or talent.
That's very fair. In terms of somebody else in your position who is thinking about launching now or is a few months in, what advice based on what you've learned would you give them?
Oh God, don't. No, honestly, I'll be so honest.
Do you know what's funny? I knew you'd say that.
I've been in the trenches, like I have, and like Adam, honestly, like if I could have had anyone to do this business with, like it would have been Adam. We are great friends, but also
could you have done it without him? Could you have done this without him?
Could I have done it without him? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Like I believe in my own source. Don't get me wrong. Like I know I'm a hard worker, but I just think like, you know, that advice of a business owner that has grown, like he floated that business for over £100 million. Like that is a successful business.
Yeah.
And to have that advice that has been, because Adam started out with no investment, walking up and down the streets, handing out leaflets to where the business got to. And I think, so to have that advice from someone that has been in your shoes is invaluable.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've spoken to you before and I do reach out to like other talent agency owners. But if I was to give someone advice, I'd say keep going. Like, keep going. It gets tough. Like, I've cried. Like, I've literally got videos of me crying my eyes out to Adam. And I'm like...
film yourself crying?
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
Oh my God, you are, aren't you?
No, yeah, I am. I wouldn't put it on my story. Like, I'm not a hospital band on your story kind of person.
You're not, like, do you know what? When I was at school, we would be like scrambled egg on dough.
Yeah, no, it's like Beggy Mitchell.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not one of them. But like, I propped my phone up and I was crying to Adam, and I was just like, I literally am struggling. And it was all over the Christmas party. And I was just like,
this party, by the way, sounds like it's the best time and
no,
the worst.
No, it was the most stressful thing. And I've said, I'm not doing it this year. I'm not doing another Christmas party.
Not you, that be like, I'm not doing it. Look into that camera and tell everyone you're not doing it.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not, because it's so stressful. Everyone says they come and they'll drop out on the day. It cost me over circa 10K for a Christmas party, which is just ridiculous. But it was our first birthday party as well, so kind of was both.
But I think if you budget and you know your cost, it doesn't matter what you spend as long as it's within your means.
No, but like I told Adam initially it was 4. Yeah.
How did we go so off budget?
So like obviously when I spoke to like the entertainment and I just wanted to book the sax, and they were like, well, you can have sax, drums, the DJ, the violinist and the flute and the recorder and the trombone. I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then when I spoke to the photographer and she was like, we also got videography services. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then when my friend was like, oh, I can come and do content, I was like, yeah, all right, I'll do that. And then, you know, it then just spiraled. And then when the venue was like, look, we can give you the premium canapes, I was like, I'll do that. And, you know, then it started adding and adding and adding. And then I was like, do you know what? My girls that work for me, they've done really hard. I'm paying for their glam. So I paid for their hair and makeup. So,
did you?
Yeah. I did. I'm all about giving back, like, to my staff, because you know what? I got spoiled rotten in the style. Like, I had, honestly, I mean, Adam, we're actually talking about this the other day, like the amount of cash prizes and stuff I won, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, like, and the experiences I got taken on. Like Adam flew me out business class to Dubai for a shoot once as like a surprise. And, you know, just all the, and that's why I wanted to work hard. And don't get me wrong, you get given a salary, but I think I was treated so well. And that's why I fought, you know, extra for that business. And that's why I worked in those hours. And people are like, why are you still working? I'd be like, well, Adam does so much for me. So the least I could do is, you know, to give a bit back outside of my scope. Like, you know, yeah, I do get paid a salary, but Adam doesn't have to pay for me to go business either. So, you know, it's give and take. So I do that to my staff in the hope that they look at me in the same way. And, you know, they've been great. And, you know, they did really well last year. So I was like, I'm going to pay for their glam, because also, like, all of my talent were getting glam. And I was just like, I don't want, like, my staff to see all my talent getting glam and be like, oh, I wish I was getting glam.
Did you pay for your
No, I didn't pay for my talents glam.
Just to clarify, because actually at this party, by the sounds of it, anything goes.
Yeah, no, I didn't pay for my talents glam. But I did pay for my staff's glam, because I thought, yeah, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I did it. What else did I bought like about 4 outfits.
What, 4 outfits?
Yeah, because I didn't know what to wear. And then it was just the bar tab. So basically what happened is we had some amazing brands, and I'm all about spoil. Honestly, at this point, how have we made profit? Right. So I'm all about spoiling our brands as well. So like every now and then I send all the brands we work with a bottle of Whispering Angel to say thank you. Like just randomly, thanks for your business. Like I appreciate it. Like you are the reason I'm here.
I do like a Christmas present. I think that's really good.
I did it in like August.
Oh, okay. All
because I just thought, why not? Like,
well, I only send mine out once a year.
Yeah. So then I invited them all up to the Christmas party, all these brands.
Did you pay for their glam?
No, I didn't pay for their glam. But it was a free bar. And I was meant to have a limit on it. But I just felt...
Famous last words. I've had many a party.
Yeah.
And that bar tab always gets absolutely destroyed.
Well, I just felt so much gratitude. And I was walking around the room.
No, and you were drunk. And
I was drunk. I put a limit on it, and I was going around talking to these brands. And do you know what? The brands that I've worked with really closely all turned up. And
that's nice.
I just remember thinking, like, I'm so grateful, and, you know, just saying thank you so much. And I actually can't listen to my speech back that I did because it was just so cringe. Everyone was telling me.
You know what? Everyone in their first few years has to do this, because there's also a time, I think maybe year 2, we did a Christmas party. I actually hired strippers, Santa strippers.
Oh, I said to them, I went, thank you so much to all the brands that have been here this year. You are the reason I've been able to go on a private jet this summer. And everyone found it funny, like in jest.
No, it is funny.
But like, I was like cringe. So I didn't listen to it back. But
babe, my speech one year, one of my staff, I've actually sworn everyone to secrecy of what I said. It was awful. And I remember being told to get up. I got myself also very drunk. It's like I said, year 2. Look, we're about 4 years.
And I just think, do you know what? It's that one night a year where you've got all the brands, all the clients. And I was also nervous. Like, I started crying.
You cried?
Oh, yeah, I cried.
How long was this speech? Was it your Oscars?
I think it was at least 11 minutes.
11 minutes?
Well, I think you should know by now. Like, I've got verbal diarrhea. Verbal die, my friends call it. Like
11?
Yeah. And I was just like, thank you so much. Like, you are the reason I'm here. Thank you to all of the girls.
For the private jet.
Yeah, thanks for the private jet. so on and so forth. So anyway, I was round and I just thought, you know what? And the guy came over, he said, listen, you're £200 away from your bar limit. And I just looked around, I thought, do you know, I said, take the limit off. I said, honestly, take the limit off. And I didn't specify that it should have been singles and spirits only. So there was mojitos, there was porn stars, there was
there any champagne? Because
champagne, shots included.
I got done once because someone gave people bottles of champagne. I was really angry about that one. Really angry.
And
you have to be very specific. And I think the learning lesson for anyone doing a party, be very specific. No, I think you should. I think it's important for the brand image, but I think be really specific on what that looks like in terms of what you can order behind the bar. Yes. I always think you should have a cap on your bar spend and then you've got the drunk cap.
Yeah.
So, but when you're budgeting, so we now do, this is actually like something that I find quite helpful. We budget for the year in terms of what our events look like. And we go, right, we need to be hitting these KPIs in order to do this level of party, if we want to do this, or we need to do this, or if we want to get the box, the NTAs, and So we have these whole like KPIs we set out for it, because ultimately, like I said, there's always a bar tab I want to spend, and there's the drunk bar tab in my head.
Yeah.
But we don't ever have a cap on our bar tab. Ask Luke. He was at our summer party and he stood by a bar drowning. Weren't you, Luke? You drained my bar tab.
No, I drained my own.
You did not have 2 drinks.
Do you know what I did in the end? So obviously there was a queue at the bar and I was like, do you know what, girls? I was like, don't queue to my talent. I was like, don't queue. I was like, go and sit over there on that table. And I was like, excuse me, can I get a 1.5 litre bottle of Belvedere and 2 litre bottles of Whispering Angel to that table, please? And the girls were like, Liam, like, it's 12 o'clock, party finishes in like an hour and a half. I was like, I know, but listen, girls, you've done so much for me this year. I don't want you queuing. Go and sit down, enjoy yourself. I went over, the bottle was that much filled. Also, I got all of the talent, personalised, hand-painted bottles of Whispering Angel. The common theme is she loves the Whispering Angel.
You do actually. You should be sponsored by Whispering Angel.
Honestly.
Have you worked with them yet?
No. Whispering Angel messaged me. So yeah, basically, and that was like, well, that bottle was like £1,000. So
£1,000.
Yeah. Manchester City Centre.
What would you say that we've learned from that experience?
So we've learned that this year I'm just doing a dinner. Yeah. Last year I paid for the next 3 years. So, and honestly, the stress of it's not worth it. Like the stress is the busiest time of year, November, December.
I would dread to see what your wedding looks like.
Oh no, everyone says that. They're like, Liam, you're not going to go small. Like, because this year for our summer party, I've bought a box at Acon. So I'm like,
is that a summer party for Acon?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Well, it's just like, it's our summer gathering.
Summer gathering.
So I'm like, right, we're going to Acon. Last year it was Usher. This year it's Acon.
Oh, okay. I quite like it's like a theme.
Yeah.
I went to Usher last year. It was good.
Really? Yeah. And I just think I love doing that for like, you know, it's not only for the talent, but for the staff, like invite my sister again. So, and also sometimes I do bring like my friends and my family, giving them that experience. So yeah, this year, and I think November, December, as you'll know, Hannah, is the busiest time of year and I'd never experienced it. And God, it was a lot to deal with. The November, December, like that Black Friday week. Oh my God, it was so manic. Like, honestly, I was working from 6 in the morning till like 11 at night, constantly. Like, we had like just, oh my God, it was just so much. And at the same time, I'm trying to plan this party. Yeah. And I was just like, this is just a headache that I just don't need. So this year, I'm just going to do a nice meal, probably in London. Don't know where yet. And I'm just going to do like a private dining room.
I think that's nice.
Yeah, I'm not going to go all out for the party. Like, you know, don't get me wrong, we'll still treat our partners, but not partners because I'm single, but brand partners. But
are you doing a little call out?
But I could have a partner. But seriously, like, yeah, I'm just going to do a dinner. And all other agencies do dinners and like they get, you know, I see them like decorate the table and it looks like candlelit dinner. But the problem is I'm just not a candlelit dinner kind of gal. Like,
but the thing is, and everyone is different with it. And I guess, you know,
I am a party person. So I want to be like, this is my agency. Let's have a party.
Well, that's the whole point. When it's your own agency, you can kind of do what you want. And I guess it kind of leads me on to my next question of, you were talking about Black Friday being really busy and also planning this party. Yeah. When did you realize you needed to hire? Like, what was that decision? And are you you growing now? Like, what? We'll go into your aspirations after.
So basically, I made a rule of like thumb to all of my talent and to myself that we wouldn't have more than 6 talent per one agent. And that is the rule. And
I think it's a good rule. I know people who'd have 10 talent per agent.
And that's the problem. So when I worked in the style, I saw management be done so badly. I saw people lose deals of, 5-figure caliber, like, really big deals. And I thought, I want to come in and change the game. And I can only do that with 6 people, really, depending on, their level. But I can only give my time to 6 people fully and give that personalized approach, that personalized outreach, strategy, so on and so forth. And I know agencies that have 15 people. And I'm like, how are you possibly giving your talent that time and energy that they deserve? And it's like, I can go out and spend a morning with my talent at a shoot or an event and not have to worry that, oh my God, I've got 20 people messaging me. Obviously I do because I'm a business owner, but I've not got 20 talent needing an answer from just me.
Yeah.
Because I've only got 6 to look after and half the time I'm with one of them. So they all understand that. So I guess the time was to hire when I don't have targets for how many talent we want to sign because personally, I don't agree with like, you should sign 5 talent by the end of the month. Like, I'd rather sign quality over quantity because I think what's the point in someone just signing someone for the sake of it? And then actually you've got to let them go because it's not working or, they haven't got the foundations for you to build on. So when I had a few more people approach me or I was sort of having conversations, I actually had 3 girls lined up and I was like, look, I really want to bring them on, but I can't bring them on my own. So I was like, I'm going to have to hire. That was when my first hire was. And yeah, I hired her and I actually, we've now got 12 girls. So we've got 6 each. So we'd be time to hire again now if the right sort of talent came along. At the moment, we've not got any sort of like pending signings as such, but if the right talent was to come along, and the thing is, I'm not one of those people. Like, obviously, we're all in business for money, right? But I am not like greedy. Like, going back to my childhood, like I, didn't have these big fancy Disneyland holidays and, all of that that's like other people have had. And I have worked for everything that I've got. Don't get me wrong. Like I've said before, like my nan gave us the best life she could. But, I saw people going to Florida for 3 weeks in some holidays. And I was like, I was happy for a weekend down at the local caravan park, to be honest. Like I was grateful for that. So I've never been greedy for money. I want to do well. I want to be successful, but I've never been greedy. And I think that plays into it because it's like, yeah, I probably could go and sign 5 people and bring in more money, but then I'm not doing the best job that I promised to these people that came on board for me, because these people came on, not because of the brand, because there was no brand when they came on. They came on because I'd worked with them for years previously. So they trusted me and I'll never break that trust with them. And I want to confidently go to bed every night being like, I have done the best job I possibly can. Or, sometimes we have to have difficult conversations with talent. And I'd never want to be like, look, we could have done more for you. Like, if a talent was to ever leave us, I'd want to be thinking, well, I did my best for you.
How do you approach those difficult conversations with your talent?
Well, it was really difficult at first. Like, I hated it because I saw it very much as like I owed them everything, and like I'm so grateful for them and like I owe them the world. And I think, I am grateful for them, but I think that's changed a little bit where like I bring as much value to them as they do to me.
Yeah.
And I see that from, looking at what they earned before they come on the agency to now. And like I can confidently, hand on heart, say every single talent that has joined the agency, we've increased their earnings. I know that.
That's really important.
Yeah. So I know that we're doing them a better service than they were getting before, whether that was, with a different agency, etc. So when I go into those conversations, I'm like, now I have that knowledge of like, I bring as much value to you as you do to me. So it needs to be, I'm not going to, because before it was very much like, well, I was like pussyfooting around people and I was like, well, maybe we could do this or yeah, sorry, like, let me get onto that or do this. Where now I'm very much like, well, actually you could be doing this and, I could be doing that, but I've done that and you've done this. So I think my approach to it is just being very transparent and open.
Yeah.
Like transparency in this industry is key. And I'm
100%.
so transparent with the talent. Like if I've reached out to someone and they've said no, I won't say like, oh, we're waiting for a reply. Or they said like they're going to see what they can do. Like they've said no. And like, I've done what I can. So let's pivot. What can we do for them to say yes? Like what is it that they're doing at the moment that we could maybe incorporate into your content to be a bit more appealing to that said brand? So yeah, I'd say just being really transparent with them and, not being, I think some talent can give, some talent agencies, no shade, but they can give bare minimum and blame it on the talent. Like, I've had talent that have come from agencies and been told, you've got no brand appeal, you've got no brand interest. And I'm like,
That's quite harsh, to be fair.
no.
I think there's always an audience for someone.
And I've had a look at their stats and I'm like, no, there is. Like, I know right now brands that are aligned to you that I know would be interested in you, and, you know, secured them 7 to 10 jobs within the first 2 weeks of having them. So, you know, I think just being transparent really is the biggest thing. But it is always difficult. You know, we parted ways with our first talent last year, and like,
I feel like that really hurt you. I can
oh
tell.
my God, it was horrible. It was horrible. And I think it was horrible because obviously she was an OG talent, you know, to the agency. She trusted me. But also it was just like, it was just, I don't know, it's just all like, not awkward, but you almost feel like I felt a bit shit and like disappointed and like failed. I felt a sense of failure is the truth, because I was like, I've not managed to work with this talent and like it's not worked, and I couldn't accept that. And I was like, is it me? Like, I'm the problem? And for like, I remember, I'm really transparent again. So I told my talent, like, I basically called them all one by one and I just said, I just want you to know we've parted ways with this person. You might get a message, because I'd heard that they were messaging people already. And I thought, I'd rather you hear it from that horse's mouth, what's happened. And obviously, because we're a small agency, everyone talks. We've got a group chat with all our talent in that we encourage people to talk in. Like, I want them all to get along. I want it to be.
Is that a big part of your culture?
Yeah, I want it to be a community. Like, I don't want it to be like, you're one talent, you're one talent. Like, you know, all of our girls, we're in a big group chat. We discuss, we chat in there. People will put in there like, is Instagram down? Or, you know, but like, they all talk, and I love that. They all comment. If I go on any of their posts, they've all comment on each other's posts. I even see them resharing it. Like, and I love that. And it's really uplifting.
You really remind me of like us when we first started, and I find it really beautiful. It's really nice.
Oh, thank you. But I want it to be like uplifting. So obviously they all talk naturally, and it just hurt, because I felt a sense of bit of failure. And I remember speaking to Adam at the time, and he was just like, it's the right decision. Like, you know, it's not working. You can't see you beating yourself up about this person. You know, there's lots of different things that I won't divulge into, but it's just not working. And it's just best that this person, you know, either pivots to another agency, or actually, personally, I felt they were best self-managed.
I believe in this quite a lot, in terms of, I don't think everyone needs management.
No, I don't think they do.
And I think, you know, I get emails quite a lot about, and I think, you know, I don't think you're there yet.
No.
And I think those conversations are needed, because sometimes we can be doing someone a disservice.
Exactly, 100%.
By taking someone on too early. And maybe that was just what happened.
And what I think basically what happened is our visions were not aligned. And I think a massive part of that comes into, I have worked brand side, so I know quite a lot about ROI, about budgets, about spend, about paid ads, about impressions reach, like CPC, CPA. Like, I know more than the average talent manager, because I've worked brand side for 5 years. I've done it day in, day out, like, you know, on a huge scale. So I get it. So I often give context, and I'm like, listen, if a brand's going to pay you this, you know, a lot of the talent we work with, the brands rely on ROI and they want sales. It's not brand awareness as such.
Yeah.
So when I'm working with the girls, I'm like, right, this brand's paying you this. Just for a bit of transparency, they would be expecting this back.
Yeah.
Just so you know. And, you know, when you're constantly hit by, but this and but that and but this, but that, and I'm like, we can't do this anymore, because I feel that like I'm not doing a best service to the brand either. And, you know, and then am I holding you back because I'm cautious of certain things? So yeah, it was just, our visions weren't aligned basically. And I just thought, I don't want to keep going on where actually I just feel that we're not gelling and we don't work well together. But like, having people know, and she did a story and she was like, just so you know, like, I've gone on my own now, so any collabs
that always
come through
that
me.
hurts.
And then she did a story like, and just so like an FYI, like, this month's been my best month ever since starting my career.
But you have to, by the way, you have to ignore that. I say this quite a lot because I'm a really big believer in having peers in this industry and learning. And I honestly think one of the only reasons I've got to this point in my career is I've had really good mentors around me and people giving me advice.
Yeah. And the thing is, Adam is great at that. Like, as a business partner, he always says, Liam, ignore it. Like, ignore it.
No, one of the things I was going to say to you is you need to focus on the siren and ignore the noise, because that is noise, right? No. Ignore that. That's no longer part of it. You have to focus on the end calling. And I guess that kind of leads me on to, have you got a bit of a plan of where you see yourself in the next few years? And can you share anything about what that looks like? No, I'm just going along as it goes.
What?
No, I'm just going without it goes.
No, so At the end of last year, obviously I'd worked brand side, as I think we'll all know by now. I think we've all got the hint, I work brand side. So I work brand side. So basically when I was working with brands, some brands, I was like giving them insight into certain things. And I was like, did you know often with talent, this works better? Or did you know, like, in the style, it was all very ROI driven. Like we wanted sales and we work with brands that want sales. And I was like, did you know this talent works really well? And brands would be like, oh my God, you know so much. Like this is great information. And I was like, why am I not got a section of the industry where a section of the agency, sorry, where I am charging brands to run their campaigns for them? I was like, because that is my bread and butter. Like I can do that with my eyes closed. So I hired a girl that I managed it in the style called Kirsty, who's an absolute gem. And we now have got 5 brands that work with us every month and we run their campaigns for them. So they give us like a monthly budget and we sort of work in conjunction with them as any other agencies would. And it's not on like a massive scale yet. Like it's very small scale. We only find them maybe like 10 creators a month. And, then they're not huge talent. Like, they're sort of like middle tier talent, but it's gone so well. And we're now in March, that's starting in October. And I guess I'm in a really good place with our talent right now. And I'm not looking for more talent. I really want to grow that campaign side a little bit more because it's what I really enjoy as well as talent management, but it's where my knowledge is and it's where I really find that I thrive. I get really excited by it, like securing a talent that maybe the brand haven't been able to secure themselves because of my relationship. So I'll often say, look, we don't manage X person, but I know she's really good. And they'll say, oh, we've tried her, but she no reply. And I'm like, well, I've got her WhatsApp. Let me see if I can get in. And that sense of like, I've got it is the same sense that I get with the talent when we go after a brand for ages and ages and then we lock them in. It's the same like sort of sense. So I really want to grow that side of it. So I'm going to hire another campaign manager and look to onboard brands and also share a bit of the workload that Kirsty's currently got. So that's the side that I want to grow. And then ultimately as well, like I kind of want to dip my toe in a little bit to broadcast. Now, I'll be so honest, like my knowledge in broadcast isn't very good. Like I did my first TV deal in the summer last year.
Congrats.
And I was like, well, this is a whole different world to as you'll know, like to a fashion ad. It's so different and there's so much more moving parts and fees work differently. And I was just like, wow.
Yeah, money in broadcast is not as big.
No, but also it was just like so different. Like the contracts are so different. Like I'm so used to looking at a contract and being like, right, what's the usage? What's the exclusivity? What's the deliverables? What's the fee? Perfect. Like, but with broadcast, it was like, oh, they need to be here. And they, the PR is included in the contract and they have to do so many press interviews. And I was just like, whoa. And it was great.
And some of the legal parts of it is like also you give away your usage for like perpetuity.
Yeah.
So it's like that's forever.
Yeah.
So you like there's shows that some of our talent have done which they can run forever. There's a reason you see reruns.
Yeah.
Things like making sure the indemnification and sometimes they're not that hot on it. And it's they're bigger contracts.
Yeah, no,
especially
huge.
when we did the jungle.
Yeah, I mean that
was a big contract.
I always wonder what that contract looks like. Can you show me? I'm joking. No. But I always think that like, God, that contract, and even for like Love Island, like I just think, oh God, that contract must be interesting.
When they obviously, if someone comes from but you did a Netflix show. What did that contract look like? Remember?
I mean, yeah. It was.
Did you just sign it off? Did you not read it?
Yeah. To be honest, I was so gassed to be Harry Jowsey. I weren't interested. I thought I was going to be Harry Jowsey. I thought I'm going to be flying the world. I'm going to be moved to LA with Netflix. I'm going to be their next big thing. I'm going to have their own show.
But you know what? I love that you dream.
Yeah. And do you know what? Now I look back and I think that was really funny.
I think it is funny. And I think also it means that you kind of have a different
perspective.
I think you have a different perspective.
Yeah.
And I think actually everything that we do in our careers leads up to a moment. Like that door had to shut for this one to open.
Yeah. And do you know what?
I'm very much like that, by the way.
I'm so glad this opened because, I've got lots of friends in TV and in that industry. And, once your foot's in the door, it's great. But I think a lot of people, and people have spoken openly about it, like they go on Love Island, for example, they go really big and then it just goes, whoop, dies off. And then they're like, panicking about when the next job is or when the next money's coming in. And I'm just like, actually, I'm building something here that is actually going really well. And that's not to say I couldn't have done that coming off a TV show, but I just feel more stability in this than I would have then. So I'm like, and I am such a worrier. I'm so anxious. Even now, I wake up in the middle of the night and check our cash flow. Like
I used to be like that. But that happens. And it takes time to
2 in the morning, I'll check and I'll be like, right, if I never got another deal in after today, when can I pay my staff until? That's what I calculate in my head.
And I think that's really important to be aware of that. And I think, and listen, that happens for a while.
Yeah.
And you only sort of snap out of it as you go. So it's small to the medium size. I always say, I really wish I enjoyed it a bit more. Now I'm like getting like, I'm like mid-sized business growing bigger. And I have less worries, but...
I know, I remember you told me that. And I thought that was so mental that happens, because I just think like I worry this much at this level. If I was at your size,
I have a big team,
yeah,
and I hire incredible people who their jobs are literally to account for different parts of that business. But usually it was just me. So you account for all those business moving parts that I no longer do, because I have passed them off to other people who then just report to me.
Yeah.
So it is like, it's less stress in a lot of ways, but also up stress in different ways, because I have people poaching from me, my staff, my talent. I have, you know, a constant fear of what the future looks like. And the things I'm anxious about will be different to things that you're anxious about.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, okay, I'm on this trajectory. I don't want to do this. And sometimes you do this, and that's okay. I think sometimes you have to really trust that we're all working together as one team.
Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, I'd say like, you know, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my God, like what's the cash flow? And I'm calculating and I'm working it all out. And as I said to you earlier, I count everything as deals. So like if I buy something, or if I take the girls to Usher, or if I take the girls to Akon or the Christmas party, I'm like, right, for me to do that, I need to get X amount of jobs. And then when I'm booking jobs in for the girls, I'm like, right, that's that paid for, and that's the office paid for, and that's that paid for. And it's like, I'd rather be like that than irresponsible. And don't get me wrong, was spending what I did on the Christmas party great? No, but we had an amazing year last year.
I think also you need to let that go, because like I said, as long as you budgeted for it.
Like, and I did. And that's what I mean. Like, but I do worry about things like that. And it, you know, when we had a chat with our financial advisor, he was like, Liam, like you did amazingly well last year. Like you exceeded all expectations. Like, and when I sit down, he's like, but you're like, that is allowed within the forecast. Like, it's not affected you. And I'm like, no, I know, but like, oh my God, like that was just loads. And like, oh my God. And I just panic. And I think it's because I'm like, I've worked so hard for this and I want it to do well. And like 10 grand, like that to me is so much money.
That's a lot of money.
Like I've never ever seen, to think I used to be on 18 for a whole year.
When I started, I was on 16.
So the fact that I've spent over half of that on a one night, that's why I'm like, oh my God. Like, don't get me wrong, in the grand scheme of life, it's fine. But yeah, I mean, I do sweat the small stuff, but
I think that's important.
Yeah. And I'd rather be like that. And I'd rather know that actually, you know, I know that we are going to be all right. And I know our cash flow is fine. And I know the girls have got work in, and I'm constantly, even the talent that I don't sort of have day-to-day interaction with, I'm over it all. Like I check all of we've got Trello boards. I'm checking all of their jobs.
What point do you think you'll be able to relinquish
I don't know.
some of the roles that you've given yourself? Because obviously you wear numerous hats. At some point, those hats have to be passed off to somebody to do that for you.
Well, that's why I hired a talent manager, and she's great, and I trust her. And I went away for a week last year, and it was the first time I've ever not gone on my phone. Really, I mean, I did have a sneaky look, but
you'll sneaky check a cash flow, did you?
Yeah, sneaky check a cash flow. Yeah, to check I could spend. But like, and I came back and all the girls were like, she was amazing. Like, I can't fault her. She was just like you know, and I know she treats this business like her own, and she's great. But I still just like find it hard to be like fully relinquish that control. And I think it will come with time. I think it will come with time.
I think I only did like 2 years ago.
Really?
And I'm almost 7 years in.
And like, I just find it hard. And even, for example, with our campaign manager, Kirsty, like the brands always say, oh my God, you know, the CEO has mentioned how grateful he is and what a great job you guys are doing. And we've just had one extend their contract, which was like such a great feeling. But still, like, I'll spend my hour at 9 p.m. at night when I'm meant to be relaxing, checking all of the work. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, I do need to relinquish some control. And I hope that does come, because I don't have brain space for it all. But I sometimes say, is it because I care so much and like I have no option but for this business to succeed. Like there is no room for failure. I can't have that, well, if it works, it works. Like if it doesn't, like this business has to work. Like it has to work, it will work. And that's the mindset that I'm in. And
I think that's the only mindset you can have when you're a small business.
And I think some business owners, like I do speak to them and they're like, I'm going to start out and like, if it does well, see how it goes. And I'm like, no, I don't have any choice. Like, because I don't have anything financially to fall back on. I'm like, I've got to do this for myself and this is my own success.
But do you have less pressure because you have a partner in the business rather than just being on your own?
Yes, I do. I'd say yes and no. That's a really difficult question. Like, I do, but Adam is quite chilled out. So, like, I report to him all the time and, like, not report to him because he's not my manager, but, like, we have conversations because obviously Adam is a business partner, but he's also, like, an investor. So he's not day to day in the business. Like, I run the business day to day. We'll catch up. We speak every day and we catch up, like, every other day. We have meetings and I'll send him all the figures, like, at the end of the month, like, just so you know, this is where we are, blah, blah, blah. And like, so he's like, why are you worrying so much? Like, look at the figures that we're doing and like, look how well you've done. And I'm like, no, I know, but we just got to do more. And like, I literally earlier this month had a meltdown. I was like, Adam, we're really quiet. And like, I don't know why we're quiet. And it's February and we should be busy. And I've outreach and he was just like, right, come round. So I went round. He was like, let's have a look. And he was like, what are you on about? And I was like, no, but we are quiet. And he was like, but you're not. Like, look at what you're doing. Like, look at all this work that you've brought in and look at these conversations that we're having. like, and I think it's just like learning to trust yourself. And I guess because I've only done one full year, I don't know the industry patterns yet. Like, and obviously I'd just come off the back of November, December, then gone straight into January and February. And I'm like, hello.
Yeah, cash flow changes, invoices get paid different. And I think something that people always forget is obviously when you're starting out, because you don't have things to compare to. For example, I know at the end of beginning of Q2, we always have a slight dip. That's always how it is. And it's to do with how the brands and their budgets, right? So that's always how you kind of work it. And I think you eventually get those trends. What are the biggest challenges and mistakes that you see creators make today?
The biggest challenge that I think creators make, honestly, is disalignment with their audience and with the brands that they're working with. I think this industry, as we've spoken about, you have peaks and troughs. And I think sometimes I see creators doing things that I know are not aligned with them as who they are or their profile.
As in that they sold out
like
a little bit.
Sold out, like completely. And I see people, for example, that, have built their audience on, I'll give you an example. Last week, I saw one girl promote 2 fake tans in 1 week.
And two different brands?
2 different brands. And I know it's February. I know it's quiet. I'm feeling it as well. And I think that's the biggest mistake that I see people make. And I am so hot on that with the girls. Like, we try and only work with brands that the girls genuinely use or work with. And a lot of brands we turn down because, the girls will say, I've never used it. I don't want it. Even if the fee's big, we've turned down, 10, 15 grand jobs for a story set before because it's just not aligned with the girls. And I think that's the biggest mistake creators make is selling out basically and taking jobs just for the money. And I think the audience can see right through it. It's when I see, I'll have to tell you it off camera actually, but I was just about to give you an example. But it's like when I see someone that has maybe, I'll give you an example in my space, built their audience on like supermarket fashion, so Tesco or F&F and like George, and then they go and do an ad with a really high fashion brand that is like £400 a dress, like Nadine Marabi. And I'm like, that is not aligned to your audience. And like, you've totally just switched your audience off now. And I think maybe, they've earned more money and they were in that supermarket space and now they're not because of, the money, the industry's great money and now they can buy that. I just think that is totally the wrong message to their audience and it doesn't reflect well.
We're both talent managers.
Yeah.
Do you think it's collaboration over competition? Or do you think you have to keep like your blinkers on?
So, do you know what? I would actually say some of my biggest deals have come from collaboration and I am all about collaboration. And when I, thought we were going to be speaking about this, I was like, oh my God,
when we thought that we spent half an hour talking about pie.
Yeah. I just thought this is something that I'm so keen on being an advocate for within the industry, because I think this industry can be so bitchy, it can be so frosty, it can be so like all like that. And I'm not that kind of person. I'll speak to anyone, as I think you've gathered. But I think that there's room for everyone. Yes, we are all going after the same deals. And yes, it hurts when you get poached. And like, yes, there are agencies that I wouldn't collaborate with because our morals don't align and they've done things that I don't appreciate. But I do think that some of my biggest deals have come from collaboration. And I actually wrote a LinkedIn post about this recently. And I said, there's room for everyone. And I said, you know, would any talent managers be interested in a group chat? And loads of talent managers were like, yeah. So now there's like 25 of us that own
That's
agencies,
amazing.
all in a group chat.
Is it primarily small businesses?
No, there's bigger agencies, not obviously not like the biggest agencies, but there's like biggish agencies in there. And like we just talk like, is anyone else finding it quiet at the moment? Like, oh, so and so's come in, or has anyone had issues with this brand? Or like, you know, it's really good for like if you've had an agency come in that you may not have heard of, like, should I be wary of that? And you know, we actually got scammed the other week. And
was in like this group chat?
No, basically a brand got hacked basically and sent us like, this hacker sent us an email off the brand account and we put it in the chat, and some girl was like, yes, I've texted the brand girl that I know that it's a scam, don't click on it. And even that I was like, oh my God, this is so great that, and especially as a small business, I can reach out to other agencies and speak to them about it, because sometimes you can feel so lonely, like the industry can feel lonely, and being a business owner can feel lonely as well. You know, and last year we got introduced by a brand that was collaboration, because sometimes my friends that work in the industry will say, listen, I've had this briefing, we've got no one that aligns. Do you have anyone that I could put forward? And I'm like, I'm not prestigious with that. I'm like, actually, we both win in that scenario, you know, and yeah, I do. And after a couple went through, I've now worked with the brand direct, which, you know, we agreed I could do. And they've now been a long-standing client. We've worked with them every month for the last 14 months. And they've actually been probably one of our biggest clients. So, and that came from collaboration. And I think people are so quick to turn their nose up at it and be like, oh, I don't want to work with them.
I'm friends with a lot of management.
Yeah.
A lot of agencies.
Don't get me wrong, there's some that I don't. And I do find it awkward then when like other talent come to me from other agencies and I'm like, oh, awkward. But no, it happens.
I think, you know, the common denominator with that when I speak to other agency owners or talent managers is if someone wants to leave, they're going to leave regardless.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where they go. It's just about how you handle it.
Well, I think that also depends though, because I think some agencies can sell the dream and they can sit on a call and be like, I get you this, I get you that, and make out that actually they can do a better job than you and they can throw a bit of shade on you. So I don't always think that, yeah, don't get me wrong, they wouldn't have the chat in the first place. But I also think some agencies can be a little bit...
You'll let like the proof in the pudding though and just let them do their thing.
Well, exactly.
I've had people come back to me several times.
Well, you know what? I'm proud to say that I've not lost, touchwood, anyone to another agency yet. And actually the girl that we parted ways with is self-managing, which I actually love because I do think that was the best for her. So I'm like, well, we must be doing something right. But I mean, it just scared me. And there are some agencies, you know, that, you know, do take on talent, that have approached our talent. And, you know, those conversations, you know, it is how the industry happens. But you know, I will be upset the first day it happens to me. I think it will be more shock when it
happens, you just have to...
Someone said to me, like, you've got to prepare for it, because we speak about it in that group and I'm like, I've not had it happen to me yet. And they're like, oh, it's never nice the first time. And I'm like, no, I think I'll be really upset.
Do you know what? I can't remember the first time. So I think it's one of those ones where it hurts, but it's never nice if you care about someone, by the way. It's never nice, but...
Well, also because I treat them like friends. Like, these girls, I ride at dawn for.
But question is do you have boundaries because of that?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
Do you think it's important to have boundaries though?
Yeah, I do. But I think, as when it goes earlier, because I felt like I owed everything to these girls, like I gave my all to them, and I do. Like, I am grateful for them, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. But I think, like, you know, sometimes when certain things happen, I'm like, I wish I had a boundary in place now. But because I've started off this way, you know, start as you mean to go on. So any new talent that we onboard, definitely I'll put boundaries in place.
I do think everything is a lesson learned though. Yeah. And I think you'll only find your own rhythm by going through the mistakes, but you'll go through the wins and the losses together.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've managed some of my talent since the beginning. And then there's some that we've had not as long, but I think, like I said, it's transparency, it's understanding, and there's no right or wrong way to do this industry.
No.
It's just whatever feels right. And I'm a big believer clean hearts always win. And I'm I'm a big,
and that's like
big
me.
believer
I would
in that.
never sit there either and like approach a talent, and also like I would never, say I'm better than a certain agent. I can only
Listen, no one doing better ever has to tear someone
no,
down,
and I
ever.
agree. I always say to the talent, the only promise that I can make to you is that I'll try my best. Can't promise that I'll bring you in a certain amount of money. I can't promise that I'll get you all these deals, but I can promise that after every working day, I'll know that I've tried my best, and that's my only promise. And I'd rather that than give false promises and then actually in 3 months down the line you run into problems.
Advice for someone who is starting out, what are the key 3 things you think they need to look at? Like, for me, one of them is like, get a good accountant,
Yeah.
get a good lawyer, like things like that. What is yours?
God, you put me on the spot. I definitely say, wow, I definitely say number one, get a good accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that is super important, like to have someone that understands you and the business and, what you're after and believes in
Yeah.
it as much as you do. I'd say hire the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want people working in this business that treat it like their own.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but as a small business, like that's what you have to be. And I know, people be like, but they're only paying 9 to 5. And I get that. But when you're coming into a small business, like ultimately you are building this business with me. We haven't got a big team where we can rely on like, oh, those 5 team members, well, they'll do really well. So they'll bring all the cash in. It's like, it's me and you. So I'd say definitely, hire staff that treat the business like it's their own. And number 3, I would say take your time. I'd say not everything has to be done at once and not everything is an overnight situation. I think there's been certain times where I've made decisions in the last year on a whim and like, Adam trusts me and I'll say to Adam, what do you think? And he'll give my opinion. And he's like, but I want you to lead this. And like, it's your business and I want you to make that decision. And I've made it and it's been wrong. And it's maybe because the business has been too premature and I've tried to take too much on. So I'd say just take your time and don't compare to others because everyone's on their own path.
That's great advice.
Mm.
We're going to go into quick fire now.
Oh, quick fire.
Right, we're going to go. Favorite creator at the moment?
Oof.
Not someone you manage.
Yeah, I won't say someone I manage because that'd be biased. My favourite creator, I'd say, is Farron Clark at the moment. The Farron Clark effect. I think she's so organic and true to herself.
Nice. Best industry trend?
Oh. I'd say my best industry trend at the moment that brands and influencers are doing are showing their younger selves and showing a bit of vulnerability of like the baby photo situation.
Oh, I did that.
I'm really loving that.
Yeah, it's cute, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dream mentor? You arguably have someone, a lot of people would say is the dream mentor.
Yeah,
so
I was going to
is
say, like, it's difficult because Adam was my dream mentor. I'd say I don't have a dream mentor as such, but I do have a lot of people that I look up to, with their jobs. But I'd say Adam would be probably my dream mentor if I could have chosen anyone.
Perfect. Dream brand collaboration?
I'd have to go with Apple.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
Because, all the girls use it to film. I use it to do my job. I just think, can you get any more organic?
It's so true. And finally, the biggest piece of advice you'd give to your younger self? This doesn't have to be quick fire.
The biggest piece of advice I'd give to myself is keep going and keep pushing on and don't give up on yourself and believe in your dreams. There's 5. And I'll tell you why. A bit of context onto that is because I speak really openly about this. When I was younger, I got myself into a lot of debt, a lot of debt. And I remember sitting on my sister's couch crying. And I actually had such bad thoughts to the point where I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. There's no way I can get out. I've racked up all this debt. What the fuck am I going to do? And I remember at that time and I was just like, there's no point ahead. And if I could talk to that boy now and be like, just keep pushing on and keep going and believe in yourself, you'll get through it. And I did. And, that's why I've got to where I am today. So I'd probably say just keep believing in your dreams because it can happen. I've always wanted a business and it's happened. So, woo!
Well,
Beautiful.
I think it's the best way to wrap it up. Congratulations, Liam. You're doing an incredible job. And I'm really excited to see what your future holds.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Managed. If you loved watching, please make sure you're following us so you can receive updates on our next episode. I'll see you next week.